Hola! 'Tis the season to decorate with nifty LED lights. Check it. So, today we're going to do proportional word problems. Pretty much anytime you do a word problem, it's harder. So I'm going to do one problem with you, and then I'm going to do problems with you in class as well. We'll see how many we can get to. I'm going to do number 4 with you, and then I'll do number 5 in class. So leave that for me in class or Google Meet, and then maybe try question 6. If you're having trouble, wait until you get some help in class. Try not to do this whole packet without getting some feedback first. So in any event, let's get going on this word problem. It's a short word problem. Everardo paid $1.12 for a dozen huevos at his local supermercado. Determine the cost of 3 eggs. Numero uno. When you have a word problem, you should always underline the question so you can focus better. It says, what is the cost for 3 eggs? That is my goal. Now, I have this whole page here for work because I'm going to review some things with you and show you multiple methods of answering this question. When we are done, you can figure out which way you like the best. But for now, you're going to do all of this. So, numero uno, underline the question. Number 2, highlight any keywords and numbers. So, the $1.12, what's the $1.12 for? It's for a dozen eggs. And how much is a dozen? A dozen is 12. And the other part is 3 eggs. What is the cost? That's part of it. And the other part is the 3 eggs. So, I should have labeled this number 4. Let's not do the table until I've done which one's the y and which one's the x. Y depends on x. X is the independent variable. X comes first, and then I get a y. So what comes first? The money or the eggs? Chicken or the egg? So why am I going to go to the store? I'm going to the store to get eggs, so this is dependent on eggs. The money depends on the eggs. How much I spend depends on how many eggs I buy. So y, let's put the x here. Let's get in the habit of putting x before y. X, we just said, is eggs. And the y is the dollars, the cost. The cost, which is measured in dollars. Dolores. Not the name, the Spanish word for dollars. Okay, so let's fill this out. It is $1.12. We highlighted this. For 12 eggs. So if I was to buy another dozen, that would be how many eggs now? 24. That's another dozen, which would mean it's another $1.12. So $1.12 plus $1.12 is $2.24. Okay, well, let's do that again. Let's buy another dozen. Now we're up to 36 eggs. It's a lot of eggs. And then another $1.12 would be what? $3.36. Okay, I don't want to keep buying this amount of eggs. What if I bought a half a dozen? How much is a half of a dozen? Okay, that's 6. How much is a half of $1.12? I'm trying to do this proportionally speaking because this is a proportional relationship. The proportions will stay the same. So if I did times a half for this, I'm going to do times a half for this. Do you know that timesing something by a half, or multiplying to say that more properly, multiplying something by a half is the same as dividing by 2? Do you realize this? Multiplying by half and dividing by 2 is the same thing. So if I bought half a dozen and they let me do something like that, that would be 56 cents. All right, Let's do unit rate. What would it be for 1 egg? Now, no one's going to let you go in the store and buy 1 egg. You try to slip out of the store with 1 egg, you're probably going to break it. It'd be a little weird. Wouldn't be worth the risk. The unit rate, it's so great. All you do is divide. Bada boom, boom, bada boom. Divide. Easy peasy, lemon squeezy. We take a y, we do divided by x. Let's use the first numbers that we were given. The cost, $1.12, depends on the number of eggs. So if I want a decimal, all I do is divide. If I want to do a fraction button, I can press magic or I can press FD. The great thing that I like about math is a lot of times you have options. So we're going to divide this and I get 0.093 repeating. That's interesting. What are we talking about here? This is the cost per egg. This number does not make sense because I wouldn't buy 1 egg, first of all. But in any event, money ends in the hundredths place. So we're going to need to round this. Nobody told me to round. But when I'm doing a question about money, I know I have to round to the hundredths place because money doesn't go past that. If you go to the gas station, you might see numbers past that. They'll use it when they're calculating and adding things up. But at the end, they're going to round. That's when we round at the end. Look next door. If 5 or more, raise the score. 4 or less, let it rest. We're going to let this one rest. So it's about 9 cents an egg.
Pardon the interruption for a couple brief afternoon announcements.
Okay, let's fill in a couple more numbers. I like doing this whole half dozen thing and then half the cost. I'm going to do that again. If I did half of 6, so I'm going to divide it by 2, I would get 3. And if I did half of 56 cents, I would get 28 cents. Now, the unit rate I wrote down is 9 cents. Let me check this for a second. If I did 3 eggs at 9 cents each, so 3 times 0.09, it comes out 27 cents. Now, that's not what I just wrote in my chart. I wrote that it's 28 cents, and this is actually right, because the cost per egg is actually 0.093 repeating, and putting that in the calculator is difficult. 3 times 0.09. I have to fake repeating decimals. This is not my favorite thing to do, so I just repeatedly type in a bunch of 3s and then press enter, and it'll come out the 28 cents that it's supposed to be, because the unit rate is actually 0.093 repeating. But if I was literally going to buy 1 egg, they would round it. All right, so the unit rate, 0.093 repeating, which is a super weird number. If I was going to buy 1 egg, it'd be 9 cents, but my unit rate's actually 0.093 repeating. So finding the unit rate isn't always that great if it's an ugly number. This is what I would consider an ugly number, so I'm probably not going to use this whole unit rate thing. I wonder if there's a nicer fraction. Let me try this. Oh, you know what happens when you put a decimal in the calculator? It's going to tell you a decimal. But if I pressed the magic button, it would tell me a fraction. It actually is a nice fraction. FYI, in case you're curious. But if I'm talking about money, I don't do fractions, I do decimals. So if I was to write an equation for this, it would be y equals, the k is going to get substituted with 0.093 repeating times x. Now, if you were going to use the table button, we would not be able to use this whole decimal thing. I don't think that's going to work. All right, I paused it and I checked it. It does work out. It's just not beautiful. The fraction's better. So I'm going to press table, clear out whatever you had in there before. Oops, I lost my equation. Clear. So I'm going to put in 0.09 through repeating, and the repeating means the 3 goes on forever. Now I'm not going to do this forever because I got other things to do. I'm hoping to watch some football this evening, so I'm going to type in a bunch of 3's there, and then I press X. Remember, this is the only time you should be pressing X is when you're using the table button. Don't ever press X any other time. Press Enter, and instead of doing an automatic table, let's just ask it for the ones that we did to check our work. So we're going to skip all this other stuff. Make sure you highlight Ask, press Enter to make sure that stays highlighted. Press Enter on OK. Now I'm going to ask it for 12. So you press 12. It says $1.12. I'm going to ask it for 24 and press Enter. It says $2.24. These are matching my tables. If I had 36 eggs, it would be $3.36. If I had 6 eggs, it'd be 56 cents. If I did 1 egg, it says 0.093 repeating. And then when I answer the question, how much for 1 egg, you'd say 9 cents because money goes to the 100th place. And then let's say the last one I wanted to put on here was 3, which was the one we was most interesting. 3 eggs is 28 cents. Okay, so I check this in the table. Check. Now, let's do a proportion. A proportion is 2 equivalent ratios or 2 equivalent fractions. The number one thing to do is first let's put the fraction lines in an equal sign and leave this blank. Then we're going to label. Labeling. Number 1. All of these things I'm talking about are in your mega notes. Have you checked those out lately? It's a very nice summary. Check those mega notes out. Now I can do this any way I want, but I got to stick to it. So I'm going to do eggs on top and cost on the bottom. Does not matter which way you decide to do it, but since you're taking notes, copy mine. We're going to do this together, so we're going to do it the same way. So if eggs is up here, the top, the numerator is always eggs, the bottom is always cost. The original ratio we were given was $1.12 for 12 eggs. The $1.12 doesn't go here because that says eggs. I decided to do it on the bottom, so $1.12 for cost, 12 for eggs. And the question asked me for 3 eggs, so eggs is here, so 3 goes here, and I don't know the cost. I actually forgot what the question was. So let me go back and answer the question the other way. I did do 3 eggs. What's 3 eggs? 28 cents. So if you're using the table, I look for 3 eggs in the table, and I see the cost is 28 cents. If you're using the unit rate, you're actually using the formula. So you would substitute in eggs is, remember, X. We decided eggs was X. So I'm going to go back. I'm going to keep the Y. So I rewrote the equation with X substituted with 3. Then we're just going to put this in the calculator. 0.093 repeating times 3, or parentheses 3. Remember, you got to type a whole bunch of 3's. Parentheses 3, enter. It says 28 cents. So I got the same answer. I took the X out. I hold the space open with parentheses. Whenever you substitute, you use parentheses. So I put this in the calculator, and it told me it was 28 cents. Now, I'm going to go back to my proportion, which I already know the answer is 28 cents. But remember, I'm going over all the different ways to do it. We did it with a table. We wrote an equation using the unit rate. Now I'm going to do the proportion. So, there's 2 ways to do a proportion. You can do it by doing an equivalent fraction or the method of cross multiplying. Equivalent fractions work when the numbers are nice and easy. You go ahead and do equivalent fractions. How do you go from 12 to 3 or 3 to 12? Let's go, since this is the way I'm going to go here, let's go the same direction. Remember, whatever it is you're telling me has to be either multiplying or dividing. You do not get proportional relationships by adding or subtracting. Okay? It's by multiplying or dividing. So to go from 12 to 3, it's going to be divided by what number? 4. When you do equivalent fractions, you have to divide by a special 1. 1 meaning something divided by itself. 4 divided by 4 is 1. When I say 1, that's what it means. And I'm doing that because if I do it to the top, I have to do it to the bottom in order to stay equal. So I could put in the calculator 1.12 divided by 4, and I should be getting 28 cents, which I do. And that is the work for an equivalent fraction. And it works out great for this question because it's a nice, what we call a nice number, because a lot of us like things written as wholes. Not everything is a whole number. So let me go over cross multiplying since it's a little less fresh. Maybe our eggs are fresh. Maybe our cross multiplying isn't so fresh. Okay, so cross multiplying is an algebraic method. It's not a trick. The opposite of division is multiplication, and I do equivalent things to an equation. I do times 1.12 here, times 1.12 here. It divides off, blah, blah, blah. I went over that in a different video. Okay, go back to the reasons why. I'm going to just show you the important parts. You only cross multiply when you have a proportion. A proportion is one fraction equaling one fraction with nothing else there. One ratio equaling another ratio is the definition of a proportion and the only time you are to do cross multiplication. Cross multiplication is not the solution to all your problems. It will not clean your room and it will not give you white teeth. It's just for proportions. So we're going to multiply 12 times x. So write it, 12 times x. Remember, we don't use x as a times sign because it's a variable, so use the dot. 3 times $1.12. Truth be told, 12 times x is not something you can answer, so you just rewrite it. 12 times x is 12 times x. I don't have to write the times sign between a number and a letter. 3 times $1.12 comes out to be, what, $3.36, right? Okay. If you don't know what times 12 is $3.36, then you have to work backwards and undo it with division. In Math 7, in 7th grade math, we do divisions as fraction bars. So I'm going to divide by 12 to get my answer. Now I divided by 12 on both sides of this equation so that I can stay equal. Anything divided by itself is 1. And $3.36 divided by 12 is, well, we already know the answer, so we're basically checking ourselves before we wreck ourselves. 28 cents. 1x or x, and x or 1x is the same thing, is 28 cents for 3 eggs. Oops, I forgot to do my circles. This one is here and this one is here. Would this still be equal if I switch these? Yeah, it would. So if you did it differently, if you did it on the other side, it wouldn't matter because this product is still equal to this product. And this product is still equal to this product. Product is the answer to a multiplication question. The last part is an opinion question. Did you like completing the table to find the answer? Or did you like finding the unit rate and using an equation to get the answer? Did you like the proportion and equivalent fractions to get the answer? Or did you like using cross multiplying in a proportion? To me, I think my favorite way is equivalent fractions. I think I can get that answer the easiest and the quickest and the cleanest without any ugly numbers. So I like that way. That doesn't mean you have to like that way. But we're going to do practice all the ways until we can make a clear decision of which way works best for you. And sometimes one way is good for one question and another way is better for another question. So that's the one problem I'm going to do with you. I'm going to do the next one with you in class or a Google Meet, and the other ones you're going to do on your own. So start some of the ones on your own and stop if you're having trouble and ask for help. Okay, see you next time on the MROB Math Show.